Marian, Aaron, and Moses, they were all very gifted. Gifted, very talented, able, eloquent, natural born leader, anything that you can think of, they possess. Perhaps, maybe Marian and Aaron, they were not as well educated as Moses. Because Moses grew up in the palace, that he learned everything. He learned all the knowledge of Egyptians. So yes, knowledge-wise, Marian and Aaron might not be in the same level as that of Moses. But you have to remember one thing, that for that 40 years, when Moses was tending the sheep in the wilderness, that 40 years, every day just looking at the sheep, that nobody else was there that was talking to the sheep. So 40 years after that, he became very dull. Actually, he became very dull. For 40 years, you know that for 40 years, if you do not, if you, for example, for 40, if you are master in certain language, all right, you are I guess for you are good in English, right? Try not to use it for 40 years. Try not to use it for 40 years. And try not to talk for 40 years, talking to the sheep, for 40 years. You know, you might be able to master in sheep body language. But for 40 years, unable to use your ability, unable to use your eloquency, unable to use all your knowledge in practical sense, you're going to lose it. So for all these are three siblings. They were very, very talented, very gifted. But just because you are gifted, just because you are talented, many of you, you are very gifted, well educated, strong ability, well trained. But when we do not use it properly, that the more able you are, the less value you might generate at the end. So as we said yesterday, that Marian, she was basically the big sister, the oldest of all. She was the modern day sharp businesswoman, very capable. But at the end, the Bible did not give very, very high credibility to her, validation, not very little. Why? Yes, she wants to lead. She is able to lead, but she tried to take things in control in her own way. Human ways. Human ways. Okay, so that's what we mentioned yesterday, that she wants to set herself up as a leader of Israel because she knew she could. I know I can do a better job than you. So let me find a way to get rid of you. That's basically Marian. But of course, you can always come to but she was only doing it for the best interest of Israel. It doesn't matter what your intention is. It doesn't matter. You can say that, but I'm doing it for the good of the church. Because I am better than other people. So instead of having them wasting everybody's time, let me take it over. It doesn't matter. You might do it out of good intention. You might really be the best one in the church. But when you are trying to exercise your human will, your own will, I think this is good. I think this is best. So it's going to be done in this way. I don't care what other people say. That becomes your ego. Your ego, we call that pride. And pride goes before destruction. So for Marian, that's a warning for us. Aaron, on the contrary, we mentioned yesterday, he was very eloquent, but at the same time, his personality was very timid. No, timid is not the right word. Timid is not. How shall we say this? Spineless. You guys are cruel and mean. Yeah. It's not. That's part of him. That's part of him. But at the same time, he likes to be the hand behind the scene, like play the puppet show, like he doesn't like to be in the front catching attention, but he likes to push people to just manipulate. Yeah, his personality behind the scene manipulations. So you see that as we said earlier, you see what happened. Marian was the type that, yes, I can do it. I can do it. I can do better than my brother. And Aaron is like, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it better than your brother. Yeah. So Aaron's personality is not, That's why, as we mentioned yesterday, that God doesn't like him. God doesn't like him. Yeah. Now he might be been given a very honorable position as a high priest, but at the same time, you found that though that he was not the person like on the spotlight fighting against Moses or this and that, but he's always doing something in the back, supporting role. So when things goes wrong, he can always pull himself out immediately and jump inside to the other side. Moses, did you see Israel people so evil? Yeah, right? He was the one that came up with the idea of the golden calf, right? People doesn't know. He said that, bring me your goat, and they brought him the goat. He was the one that crafted the golden calf for them, giving them the idea. This is the God. This is the God, right? So he initiate. He basically flow along and try to please the people, make them happy. But when Moses came, Moses was angry, and immediately he's like, I don't know what happened. These people, they are so bad, so evil. Moses, I'm on your side. Yeah, my Lord, don't be angry. Did you see that? Every time when both are in the incident of the golden calf, or in the incident in Numbers chapter 12 about Marian and Aaron, like they spoke against Moses, like trying to throw him off. Both times, immediately, when things turn south, when things goes wrong, immediately Aaron changed side. And he was like, oh my Lord, they made me do it. They made me do it. So that's why, in my personal opinion, I always feel in the description in the Bible, you always feel that God is distant. God distanced himself away from Aaron because of his personality. What is it? No spine? No spine. So no shoulder, no spine, unwilling to take on any responsibilities. So brothers and sisters, you have to be very careful. In the church, there are times that you just need to step up and tough it out and take down responsibility. That sometimes I hear people say, I can help, but don't put my name down. You might feel that's humility, being humble. No, I can help. No, you don't need to give me any title. Why? When there is no title, then there is no assumption of responsibilities. I am only helping. So, a volunteer, no obligation. I can pull myself out anytime I want because I am not the one in charge. My name is not on there. Okay? And if anything goes wrong, it's not my fault because I'm only a volunteer. That sometimes that's not about being humble. It's not humility. It's dodging responsibility. Dodging. Okay, don't put my name, no, you don't have to elect me. You don't have to put my name down. I will help. I will be here. But the thing is, if anything goes wrong, it's never my fault. So be very careful. What is the reason? What is the intention where you say, oh no, don't put my name down, but I will be there to help? What is the intention behind it? Okay? All right. So for today, we want to go on to talk about Moses, which I believe that we are all very familiar. Moses is one of the characters in the Bible that we mention the most in the Bible. That he was greatly honored by men, and he was greatly respected by God. There are two very unique characters in the Bible. Very, very unique. One is Moses. The other one is Prophet Elijah. You found that not only they were the iconic character in their own generation. Okay? Moses was known as the deliverer of the people of Israel, while Elijah was known as the torch or the light in the darkest era. 黑暗中的明灯, the greatest light in the darkest era. Okay? He was also known as the prophet of fire, flame, calling fire down from heaven. You found that they were both dominating or iconic. They both single-handedly changed one generation. They changed their generation. Okay? So Moses and Elijah appear in their own historical moment. And at the end of the Old Testament, in the book of Malachi, the last two persons mentioned, again, Moses and Elijah. In Malachi, the last chapter. And also, if you go on to the New Testament, that on the mountain of transfiguration, that when Jesus was on the mountain praying, again, Moses and Elijah appeared in the vision. That Moses and Elijah appear again on the mountain of transfiguration. And when you go to the end of the Bible in Revelation chapter 11, it talks about the two witnesses. Although the Bible did not mention who they are, but the Bible says the two witnesses who serve the mighty Lord, they can turn water into blood. They can call fire down from heaven. The name were not mentioned. But at the same time, from the description, one can change the water to blood, one can call fire down from heaven. Immediately, it associates back to the iconic moment of Elijah and Moses. Okay? So you found that these two characters, Moses and Elijah, they were so important and so unique that they appear from historical moment to the end of the Old Testament, to the beginning of the ministry of Jesus, to the end of the book of Revelation, to the end of the Bible. You found that their recording transcend throughout the entire Bible, that they were unique. They were unique. And Moses, let's go to Numbers chapter 12. The Numbers chapter 12. Let's go to chapter 12, verse 7. This is what the Lord said. Let's go from verse 6. Verse 6. Then he said, hear now my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak to him in a dream. 7. Not so with my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. Right? So then here, the Lord appear, and the Lord vengeance vindicate. I don't know what is the right word. When Marian and Aaron they came up against Moses, God was the one God was the one that appeared, tried to right the wrong. Okay? So basically, when you wrong against Moses, you wrong against God. So God came out and said, "What's your problem? What's your problem? Why are you going against my servant Moses? All right? Why are you doing all this?" So not only God spoke God for him, God also vengeance for him. God took care of it. So Marian was found with leprosy. And of course, immediately Aaron changing side. Master, my Lord, don't do that. And then Marian was locked out of the camp for 7 days. Okay? To show her shame. That was to show the anger of the Lord. So she was kicked out of the camp in front of the entire Israel community. She was locked out as a defiled, unclean, outcast for 7 days. So the Lord spoke up for Moses. The Lord defend for Moses. The Lord vengeance for Moses. I think here the Bible told us that Moses was the servant that was faithful in the house of the Lord. And that's why he was deemed. When we talk about servitude, we have to talk about Moses because he was validated by God as the most faithful worker in my house. Okay? But what does it mean by being all faithful? What does it mean by being all faithful? Let's go back a little bit. Let's go to Numbers chapter 12. Numbers chapter 12, verse 2. Numbers chapter 12, verse 2. Verse 2. We can go to verse 3. Let's go to verse 3. Now the man Moses was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth. Okay? So I think here, the Bible told us that Moses was the most humble person on earth. Okay? And this was credited from God. Okay? Moses did not say, "I am the most humble person on earth." Moses did not say that about himself. God, basically, that was the remark given by God. God, I check. God was like, "I checked the entire earth. Yes, you are the most humble person on earth." However, we all know about the story of Moses. He was an angry child, right? We all know, right? He was an angry child, so he came out, he saw somebody bully somebody, he rolled up the sleeve and said, "Did you see this?" Yeah. And then he beat a person to death out of his anger. I mean, he was doing it. I'm protecting my people. How could you bully my people? But he was very, very emotional. Okay? Angry child. Okay? I come, I see, I don't like it, you die. That's how it works for him. Okay? So, of course, it has something to do with his growing up status. Okay? On one hand, his mother taught him, "You are a Hebrew. Okay? You are a Hebrew. You are not Egyptian." So on one hand, he learned, he was taught, he was brought up by his mother, learning more about being a Hebrew or being or know more about God. On the other hand, that it is inevitable that he was influenced by Egyptian culture or the Egyptian dominating mindset. Because at that time, Egypt was the most powerful country in the world. And he was in the palace in the core of the group of power. Okay? So apparently that for Pharaoh's daughter, he also called mom, and seeing Pharaoh, grandpap. All right? So he was also in the circle of power that allows him to take things onto his hand that I don't like it, I kill. Okay? If I don't like you, I kill you. That's his personality. Okay? Very strong, very able, but at the same time, very self-centered. Okay? That was Moses. But in here, the Bible describes a different Moses. A different Moses. From an angry child, now he was known and validated by God that he was the most humble person on earth. We call that transformation. If you want to become the most faithful worker in the house of the Lord, it begins with transformation. But transformation, you know that in here, when we talk about transformation, we are not in here focused upon being humble though. Right? Being humble is not the focus. The focus is about you are willing to change for the sake of the holy work. In the, where is it? Is it in 1 Peter? Let me see. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2. 1 Peter chapter 2. 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 4. Verse 4. Coming to him as to a living stone, rejected indeed by men, but chosen by God and precious. Verse 5. You also as living stone are being built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood to offer a spiritual sacrifice, acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. So then here, Apostle Peter that refer to you and I as a living stone. But what is a living stone? Okay, you can say, oh yeah, living stone is a stone with life. So we have the spiritual life in us that we are able to grow spiritually. Okay, whatever. Living stone means you are able to change. You are able to change. You are able to maneuver. You are able to adjust and modify. You are able to change yourself to cater to the need of the Lord. That's called living stone. So for example, when we are doing construction, right? To do a construction, if you need to build a wall, in America, you use most of the time we use sheetrock. You don't use brick. In Asia, we use brick. Like this. You know that from the first day when I saw the photo, when I saw the picture that was used, I was like, oh, Super Mario. Yeah. Yeah. Where is the pipe? Yeah. When I see the brick, the first thing that in my generation, when you see the brick wall, the first thing is Super Mario. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's my generation. Old people knows. All right. So you know what? When you are building the brick wall, right? When you are placing the brick one by one, eventually there are some spots that need to fit in. Okay? So in order to complete the wall, to finish the job, you need to feed in the brick in the size that cater to the size of the hole. In order to complete the job, right? You put the remaining brick on, you make it perfect, and you put down the mortar. So that's how you complete it. But if today the hole, now there's a remaining hole. The remaining hole is about this big. About this big. And suddenly you, the stone, you, the brick, You came up and said, I will take care of it. I will fix the wall. I will filling the hole. I will repair the breach. But I am this big. This big. But you won't change. When the master tells you that the size of the wall is about this, you say, no, I am this big. So big. What is that big thing? That's your ego. That's your ego. That's your pride. I am going to fit. And what will happen? When you force yourself without adjusting your shape or size, eventually the whole wall collapses. Okay? Not only you ruin yourself, but you ruin the work of everyone else when you are so filled of yourself. Ego. So what is living stone? I am this big. Okay? I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I am this big. But then you look at the hole, you look at the wall, you say, but the church needs this, only this. And then what will you do? For the living stone, you will start begin the diet. Right? You will start shrinking yourself, squeeze out all the fat. You're like, I will do whatever the Lord needs, not whatever I want. That's a big difference. When we are all serving the Lord, some people only do according to what they want or what they like. On the contrary, they are workers who do only what is needed in the church. Okay? And that will determine if you are a dead stone or a living stone. Okay? All right, so you know that the first that we saw in here, Moses, he transformed. Of course, his transformation basically is because of the 40 years in the wilderness tending the sheep. You know that sometimes I wonder at the beginning when he fled, when Pharaoh wanted to kill him, you rebellious child, how dare you? After I raised you all this year, you still identify yourself as a Hebrew. So Pharaoh wanted to kill him and he fled for his life. He went to the desert and he started tending the sheep for his father-in-law. I'm just wondering, at the very beginning of his work, suddenly the new title from Pharaoh's grandson, Pharaoh's daughter's son, from Pharaoh's grandson, now become a fugitive tending the sheep in the wilderness. And you have to remember, he doesn't own the sheep. He doesn't. It was his father-in-law's sheep. Okay? So he doesn't have anything. He was a fugitive on the run. He owns nothing. Basically, I'm just wondering that at the beginning, every day when he went out with all the anger, with all the emotion, unable to adapt to the new environment, the new living standard, the new status, just wondering how many sheep that he killed at the beginning. I am tending you, releasing all his frustration on the sheep. But at the same time, as we mentioned earlier, he was married into that family. So for a man married into that family, the person is only a little bit better than the slave, a little bit higher than the slave. 入赘. You married into that family, into the girl's family. You own nothing. You are only a little bit better than that of a slave. So every time when he was about to exercise his martial art on the sheep, he learned all the Egyptian skill, right? He was about, kill the sheep. And he's like, but that's not mine. That's my father-in-law's. So you know what? He needs to hold it in, learn to control. Because back in Egypt, he doesn't need to. His social status as the son of Pharaoh's daughter, his social status gave him another knowledge, but at the same time, never trained him to endure. Because he doesn't need to. But the experience in the wilderness, dealing with the sheep, forced him to deal with the weakest point in his life, which is no patience, no endurance, cannot wait. So imagine without the transformation of the personality, when he led the Israelites, and the Israelites were like giving all the complaints, grumble, this is so wrong. And when God appeared and said, don't stop me, I'm going to wipe them out. And Moses said, I'm not stopping you. Yes, wipe them out. Seriously. Moses will be like, I've been waiting for this moment. Yeah. But because of the transformation, that he was able to, let's read a verse out. In Psalm chapter 106. Let's turn to Psalms 106. Yeah, where is it? 23. 23. Therefore he said that he would destroy them. Had not Moses, his chosen one, stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he destroy them. So in here, that the Bible told us that Moses was the one that used himself as a living stone to patch up the breach. Right? He was the one in the breach to quench the anger of the Lord so that the Israel were not destroyed. But how? It's because he became the most humble man on earth. That's why he was able to. He was able to show mercy, sympathy to the one that wronged him and spoke against him. Okay? So to be a faithful worker, that you have to begin by transforming yourself into what God wants. Serving the Lord is never about you. It's never about I. Serving the Lord is always about what is needed in the house of the Lord. And we call that living stone. You adjust yourself to cater into wherever the house of the Lord needs you. Right? So there are many other things that we can learn from Moses. Okay? About how he was very self-aware. If you go to Deuteronomy chapter 1, he said that I alone cannot get it done. He says, Lord, I alone cannot take care of the entrusted duty. So the Lord set up the centurion, the leader of the 50, the leader of 100, the leader. The Lord set up a system for him so that he was able to share the burden, share the load. But it is not easy for a person to admit, I alone cannot. We don't want to admit we do not want to admit our limitation, our insufficient. Okay? We do not want to let people see that we are limited, we are unable, that we feel sometimes we feel that's embarrassing. So we don't. Sometimes we do not voice for help, especially for those who are more experienced, more respected, or in the higher position. It becomes more and more difficult for you to admit that you are limited. So if you ask a RE student, do you know this verse? The RE student is like, I don't know. And they have no problem. They have they don't feel ashamed. When you ask a RE teacher, hey, where is this verse recorded? And then you're like, it just slipped my mind. It just slipped my mind. You have no idea, but you have to say, it just slipped my mind. All right? And when you ask a preacher, and apparently that sometimes the preacher might not remember the verse, and then we will use a lot of words to like confuse you, like you forgot what you were asking earlier. Yeah. You know that one of the most scariest moments in my life is when I was in Africa, and I was there as an instructor. I was their instructor. I was there to teach them. So after the class, they were like just sitting around, like chatting and this and that, and they were playing games. And I was just sitting there on the chair, and I was just, on the plastic chair. I was just like looking at their game. You know, like in Africa, there is no entertainment. There's no electricity, so there's no entertainment. And you know what they were playing? Whole bunch of youth. All right, whole bunch of the youth. That trip, I wasn't in that trip. I wasn't teaching TTP. I was there for their like NYT style, like older kids about their 18, 19, 20, about that age. It was like our NYTs. After the class, they were playing games, and I was just sitting there, and I was like, oh, what kind of game that African member play? And then as I was watching and listening, I start sweating. They were playing guess the verse. So it goes either way. They're just making a circle, and someone will randomly shout a verse. And then someone will say, oh, that's in Genesis chapter 3, verse 12. And I was just like, excuse me? It go either way. And sometimes a person might say, oh, Proverbs chapter 2, verse 3. And then someone else will catch the phrase. Someone else will just recite the verse. And as I was listening, I start having cold sweat, I was like moving my plastic chair backwards. I was like, teacher got something else to attend to, and I slip out of the room. That was so scary. I was just so afraid that there will be a verse that they might miss it, that nobody came up with the answer, and they will turn around and ask me for, so pastor, what verse is that? I'll be like, let me Google it. Oh, no internet. That would be so bad. Yeah. So you know what? The thing is, the higher or the more respected you are, the more experienced, or you are deemed as the best in certain servitudes, it becomes more and more difficult to admit I don't know or I cannot. But for Moses, that was never a problem. Even he was on the top. All right, he was the top leader of Israel. He said, I can't. He said to the Lord, he said to the people, I alone cannot take care of you guys. All right. So he has no problem to admit his limitation, because for him, being all faithful means he only cared about the well-being of the entrustment of the Lord. He cared very little about his reputation, his face. Okay. So that's something else that we can keep in mind. Serving the Lord is not about pleasing people, or it's not about making yourself look good. Serving the Lord is only about fulfill your God-given responsibility and receive the ultimate reward at the end. Okay, that's all, Prince Alice. Amen.